Hi there, good morning. You've tuned into ET now, and this is Buy Now Sell Now with me, Cheryl D'Souza. Along with me today, I have Somit Sarkar. A very good morning to you, Somit. And you are looking pretty chirpy on a Friday morning.
Well, yes, I did a couple of links in the morning which turned out to be true, at least on the negative side. That was Apollo Tyres and Gujarat Gas.
All right, Apollo Tyres, Gujarat Gas, those stocks are in focus in a short while from now. We will try and talk, or rather get some more information on that from Somit as to why both of these counters are reacting negatively in trade today. But for now, the markets are holding on to good, strong gains of about 0.9%. You can see the Nifty actually holding on to the levels above the 24,300 mark. Let's take a look at what Nifty Bank is doing in trade today and what sort of a direction is Nifty Bank taking today. It's almost around where the benchmark indices are, 0.7% uptick coming in for Nifty Bank as well. A lot of stocks to focus on. You have a new kid on the block, you could say, that is Ola Electric also. That one has seen an uptick of as much as 10 to 11% or so. A short while ago, we spoke to the management. Talking about the list of gainers and losers in trade today, then only a handful of stocks that are losing in trade, with BPCL being the top loser in trade, 1.8% downtick coming in for BPCL. Apart from that, you have HDFC Life, Cipla, the other set of losers, and you're seeing just muted set of moves from HUL, Indocent as well as Britannia. But on the flip side, on the gaining end of the market, you have Eicher Motors reacting to its numbers, 4.3% uptake, Tata Motors, HCL Tech, they've gone ahead and done an acquisition. The arm has done an acquisition, so HCL Tech is seeing good gains. ONGC also seeing an up move in excess of about 2%. Advanced decline ratio in favor of the gainers. Let me just quickly put the spotlight on what are the sectors doing right now. You have the IT sector, which is in the top sectoral gainer. Along with you also have realty bucking the trend, and realty and infra will be the flavor of the day because NBCC a short while ago announced that they've bagged an order worth about 15,000 crore rupees. So that stock, so an up move of as much as 9% or so. So that's the way how the markets are looking like at this point in time. But Somit, you were talking about those two stocks, that is Gujarat Gas and Apollo Tyres, I believe. And why are they in focus and why are they down? Though you've claimed that it's you've done the link and you could possibly know the reason behind it.
Well, yes, if you look at both the companies, that is Gujarat Gas and Apollo Tyres, the common problem that both are facing is the margin and market share, volume share dilemma that is currently there. For Gujarat Gas is the fact that gas prices are 4 rupees now expensive compared to its competition, that is propane, and hence they are expecting a big volume decline in the second quarter. Nearly 30 to 40% volume drop is what we are expecting. Apart from that, margins could also be volatile for the company given the fact that nearly 50% or nearly half of their gas has been sourced from spot market, where prices are a little bit on the higher side. Also, the company has gone ahead and cut down their volume growth guidance to around 6 to 7% from 10% guided earlier. For Apollo Tyres, again we are facing the same pressure issue. Now do remember that Apollo Tyres had seen a rapid increase in their margins in the past few quarters, but analysts are believing that margins would also fall at a similar pace for the company going forward, and this is because rubber prices are currently at 240 rupees per kg as against 189 rupees per kg that we had seen in the first quarter. And to pass on this increase in rubber prices, the company actually needs to take a price hike of nearly 7 to 8%, but they have taken a price hike of just 3%, and they are not able to pass on this increase in raw material prices to consumers because on the other hand they are continuously seeing a lower revenue growth compared to its peers, which means that they are losing market share. And also we understand that MRF recently has also gone ahead and cut prices of tires to gain more market share, and so here Apollo Tyres is losing market share on one end, and because they are not able to increase the prices and pass it on, their margins are also taking a hit, and management has also cautioned about margin pressure in the second quarter. So keep an eye out for Apollo Tyres and Gujarat Gas.
So that's the reason why both of these stocks are actually lagging in trade today. But yes, it is Friday. We've not forgotten that it's Friday, and which means that today is Buy Now Sell Now Pachala Day, and we have Kunal as always here to tell us what new are we all going to learn today. Kunal, very good morning to you.
Very good morning, and the word I'll take from your statement was muted market. So in the muted market, what we typically expect is stocks consolidating or the markets getting into a drift. Now, what do we mean by consolidation? So I've taken a couple of examples over here that how do we track consolidations into stocks and why during a consolidation it becomes a very good opportunity to try and go for a buy on dips, for the respective stocks or for the indices. Now, this is a classic case of a stock like RVNL. Now, we all know that how stock can be a very high beta or a sudden high beta stock where in the very short span of time, as you can see, that the stock moves into a flurry of price action from 350 levels on a weekly basis. The stock moved towards a zone of 600 to 650 mark. This was on the back of some major chunk in volumes. So as you can see, compared to the volumes were very much on the higher side as compared to the recent few weeks of the stock getting into a consolidation. And then post that, what happened is that the stock, after shifting to a new range for itself, gets into a zone where it tries to digest this kind of a strong up move for itself. This is what we call as a phase of consolidation. So as you can see that in this phase of consolidation, there is a distinct reduction in the average trading volumes for the stock. The prices dip down, come back into a midpoint of a trading range for itself. So for example, if this was a 300 pointer range for RVNL, then we expect the stock to come back towards at least 100 to 150 point as a mean reversion zone. So this becomes a very interesting zone where traders could look at a buy on dips or a buy in a phase of consolidation. I've taken one more example that how post a consolidation, the stock prepares itself for a second round of a breakout. So this is the charts for Action Construction. Again, a very similar kind of a tendency. The stock moved from 160-70 zone towards 250 in a very short span of time. Again, on the back of some higher or incrementally higher zone of volumes. Post that, the stock went into a multi-day consolidation. So as you can see that after a 70-point jump, the stock remained into a range of 25 to 30 odd points, tried to digest the gains for itself. The volumes dipped down significantly. But the moment we saw the volumes coming back above the neutral or the previous range high for consolidation, you saw the stock coming out of a consolidation and then jumping up by another 15 to 20% in a very short span of time. So that's how we track consolidations, and that's a classical way to try and spot opportunities where you're looking to buy the stock not at its peak but at its mean reversion points or zones of mean reversions.
All right, so that's something new that we've all learned today on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now Pathshala, that's tracking consolidations. Thank you so much for that, Kunal, for breaking that down for all of our viewers. And on that note, viewers, we will quickly slip into a break. And once we are back from the break, we'll start taking your query, viewers. So don't go anywhere.
Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now. Moving on, NSE is riding on the rising investor participation in the country. It registered an investor base of more than 10 crore with more young investors in the fray. Sharat gets us the picture of how NSE is benefiting from more investor participation.
Well, yes, a strong capital base and a strong retail participation. Over here, NSE is in focus. They have crossed 10 crore registered investor base. Now, also the youth, that investment, those numbers are also very strong. The median age for investment is 32 years. Now, of course, below the 30-year-old category, if you look at it, 40% of the registered investors are there, and that's a big amount when it comes to the youth investing. And looking at the numbers itself, there has been a 3 times growth when it comes on a 5-year basis on the investor base. The daily unique average numbers, that has jumped from almost 50,000 to 78,000. Now, overall, the investor registrations at NSE have seen an accelerated numbers going ahead in the years. Now, of course, over the last 1 crore registrations have been added over the last 5 months itself, and now the number is more than 10 crores. Now, totally there is 19 crore client codes. Now, of course, we'll be looking at how the new registrations have actually occurred. The last 1 crore registrations, where these numbers have been coming from. And if we look at it, the numbers are coming in from North India. 42% of the new registrations are coming. Of course, the 25% is coming from the stable markets in the western segment and also under-penetrated in the eastern markets. But overall, Uttar Pradesh and Maharashtra, these two are the states where they continue to lead when it comes to the new investor registration. Around 2 to 3 odd days ago, the NSE also came out with its quarterly numbers, where overall, if you look at it, the numbers have been very strong. The operating revenue jumped 51% on a year-on-year basis, while profit also jumped more than 39%. The net profit margins coming in at 52%, while a significant jump coming in EPS coming in at roughly 52 rupees per share.
All right, thank you so much for that, Sharal. But on that note, let's kick start with the show and try and take as many queries as possible. We have Kunal Botra on the technicals today, while on the fundamentals, we have Sharmila Joshi joining us. A very good morning to you, Sharmila, as well as Kunal. Thank you so much for joining us on ET Now. And just a caveat for both of you, just to know that in this week, we've managed to take in excess of 30 queries each day, with Wednesday marking actually 45 queries that we've managed to take. So you'll have tough competition today, looks like it. But let me kickstart with the first query that I have here in front of me. It's coming in from Ron, and he wants the query to be answered by you, Sharmila. He wants to know about 3 dividend yielding stocks for the longer term at which he can buy, and which one actually looks attractive right now.
One stock that comes straight away to my mind is Coal India. Coal India is always a good dividend yield stock, and so I think in the PSU basket you could possibly find a few others. I don't think Vedanta's exact dividend yield, but they do tend to give very high dividend payouts because of their ongoing issues. So these could be 2 stocks you could look at. I'm afraid offhand I can't think of a third.
Well, the next query is from Padmaseva Rao from Bangalore, and it's for you, Sharmila. He wants to know whether Thermax is a good buy at current levels for long term.
I think if you're a long-term player, you should definitely consider looking at Thermax. Overall, this is a business, as in a sector that I like, and within that sector, I think this is a very good, stable sort of a mid-cap that you could look at. Numbers have been good, valuations look attractive. But as the investor said, that this needs to be a long-term play. So that could be my only caveat. But otherwise, yes, I think at this level you can definitely look at Thermax.
All right, let me take this next query then, and this one is coming in from Ramamurthy, who's writing to us from Bahrain. And Kunal, he wants to know whether it's good time to invest in eMudra, EIH Hotels or HEG Infra at this point in time. Which one do you think is looking attractive? Does it make sense to invest in any of these?
See, I think EIH Hotel could be an attractive bet, precisely because of the fact that the stock has come back to its 200-day moving average. So I think after this recent correction, the stock has corrected more than 20% from 500 to now 390 approximately. So this could be a good bet. eMudra also I think has been more consistent with the charts. Of course, the history is a tad bit limited, but then the recent charts still indicate that the stock is not high beta. So these are the kind of stocks which you should ideally proportion from a long-term play as part of your portfolio. HEG, the only concern with HEG, if I can, if I'm assuming if HEG...
No, it's not HEG, it is HG Infra.
Okay, if it's HG Infra, then I think even this stock you can consider at current levels. Again, a very similar kind of an attribute. The stock has corrected almost 400 points from 1850 to 1600, 1500 mark, where the stock is trading right now. So I think at current levels also the stock looks attractive.
Well, the next query is from Sudhir from Hyderabad, and it's for you, Kunal. He wants to know whether can he buy Bajaj Finserv for 3 months.
It's a very tricky stock. It's not been participating at all over the last 3 to 4 months. So difficult to expect that the stock would do the same in the near term. Just wait out for a point of a breakout. I think that breakout level for Bajaj Finserv is around the 1650 to 1660 mark. Maybe 2 consecutive close above the 1650 level is where you can look to buy.
All right, let me take this one from you actually, Sharmila. This one's from Shekhar. He's writing to us from Bangalore, and he wants a suggestion coming in on JP Associates. Now, he already has this counter in his portfolio, 1500 shares at a price of 23 rupees per share. Does it make sense to stay put with this one and even hold on to it with the scope or hope that whatever recovery it makes will be sustainable?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the stock name.
JP Associates, Jaiprakash Associates.
JP Associates. No, I wasn't clear of this stock.
So clear of this particular counter is the word coming in from Sharmila. Somit?
The next query is from Kumar from Mysore, and it's for you, Kunal, again. He wants to know whether can he buy ACE, that is Action Construction Equipment, for short-term period, and he would also request you to give a target price for the same.
Well, yeah, you can look to buy the stock at current levels. 1200 seems to be a good support for the stock in a very short kind of a time span, and on the upside I think 1400 to 1450, 1425 to be precise, seems to be a zone of minor resistance. So potentially a target range closer to 150 points from current levels is where you can expect for ACE.
All right, This next one is coming in from Sucheta. She's writing to us from Bangalore, and Sucheta has just deleted her message while I was going to read it on air. So let me take another one. This is coming from Pavitra, a bit longish query, Kunal. So let me just read the way she's written. She's saying that she follows the show without fail every single day, and your suggestions, Kunal, are 95% positive every day, be it Pachala or Chartbusters. Very informative is what she's saying. NHPC is the stock that she's looking a suggestion on. The buy price is 97 rupees per share. She's a short-term investor, wants to know whether to stay put with NHPC or look to exit this one. As well as Yes Bank, she wants to know that she's in a loss. She's booked partial loss as well. What to do for a bit longish term.
Thank you so much for that. So on both of these names, I think the view would be a bit distinct. So for example, I'll start off with Yes Bank. I think it's a disappointing chart when I look at this over the scale of the last even 1 year. And the stock had shown those starts where it used to come back towards 25, 28, 9 odd mark. But then the rally used to just fizzle out, and you used to see the stock getting back into a corrective phase. Even right now, the stock is just bouncing off from its 200-day moving average. So I don't see a major upside, but maybe not a best price for you to exit. If in case you see one more bout of a rally and the stock say comes back towards 27.5 to 28 levels, that could be a decent point where you may look to book out your entire positions on Yes Bank. On NHPC, if you're a short-term investor, then and assuming you're sitting on profits, then I think it's a good time to try and take out profits over here, because the stock is now starting to show some weakness on the short-term basis. It's showing an inverse flag formation, and that could probably result to the stock retesting its or coming closer to its 200-day moving average. So maybe 90 or slightly below those levels could be a better point where you can look to rebuy NHPC if you book at current levels.
The next query is from Manish and is for you, Sharmila. He wants to know whether is it a good time to buy Syngene.
Overall, I think that pharma play had a very decent run in the past couple of months. I think here the only concern is that since most of these stocks have rallied, valuations are high, and any disappointment in numbers could have an impact. So it's a good stock. If you already have it, you should continue to hold, but I would not recommend buying fresh at this.
Now coming to you next, this one is coming from Sushil Pariani, and he wants to know about Jupiter Wagons as well as Ircon International. He's holding both of these counters from lower levels. Also, if possible, if you could advise him on HCC, 56 is the buy price.
So I think both these charts are very attractive. Now what matters over here is the scale of or the time frame which you're looking at. So if you're looking at maybe a short-term time frame, then these stocks could disappoint further, because these stocks are going through a mean reversion phase, and mean reversion phase in the back of lower volumes generally is an indication that the stocks may come back towards their respective 200-day moving averages, spend some time over there before you see volume pick up and price action coming back strongly. So I think both these stocks, Ircon as well as Jupiter Wagons, could drift a bit more. But if you're a long-term investor, then you should probably take these opportunities as an accumulate or a buy on dips opportunities for both of these stocks, especially as in how the stocks come closer to their 200 moving averages. For NCC, I think that was the other stock which you mentioned, right? HCC, I think the concern over the stock is the susceptibility of the stock when it gets into a breakout around the 51-52 mark, and it's been met by a flurry of resistances. I think twice or thrice has the stock taken a lot of resistances at the 50 plus level. So that indicates that maybe the stock would get into a time-wise correction. It's not a weak chart, but I believe that the stock may take some bit of more time to try and break past about the 50 levels.
The next query is from Raj Shekhar. He's a senior citizen from Bangalore. He wants to invest around 2 lakh rupees, and he has 3 stocks in mind, that is Finiotex Chemical, EIH and PNC Infra. He's a long-term investor. So Sharmila, what would be your view on these 3 stocks, that is Finiotex Chemical, EIH and PNC Infra?
First one is
Sorry, we could not hear you.
I'm sorry, which was the
First.
The first stock.
PNC Infra.
It's 3 stocks, Finiotex Chemical, PNC Infra and EIH.
So I think out of these, definitely EIS is a good stock that you could look at. Coming to PNC Infra, here again valuations look decent, and stock also seems to be doing reasonably well. So yes, I think that also is a stock that you could look at. And the third was the chemical space. So yes, I think overall, I'm sorry I didn't get the exact name, but overall I think that this is a sector that is now sort of coming into its own, after the last couple of years. So yes, I think both all the three sort of sectors as well as stocks he has identified seem quite reasonable.
So that's the view coming in on these three counters, including Finotech's chemicals. It's a very different spelling, so that's the reason why we've been trying to search for it. But nevertheless, on that, there you go. That's the counter that the query was on. But on that note, we slip into a break on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. 10 queries done, a lot more to go. So viewers, stay tuned. We'll be back soon. Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now. Let's continue taking your queries then. Kunal, this one is coming in from Yamini from Bangalore. Wants to know whether she can buy CG Power or Exicom Tele for the long term right now.
So CG Power is something which I do track. Exicom Tele, I think the data is a lot more limited. So I'll probably speak on CG Power. I think it's a fantastic chart. I think the stock has done exceptionally well over the last 4-5 years, from being a 2-digit stock towards a point where the stock is at 700 plus. Now, interestingly, the stock has come back towards a mean reversion point on very minor time scale charts. So which means closer to this 650, 675 odd zone seems to be a stronger territory of support for CG Power. So keeping that zone in mind, I would probably suggest that you can look to buy the stock at current levels and expect the stock to retest its previous highs of 750 to 800 approximately.
Well, the next query is from Jay Krishnan from Kazikode, and he has a query on Titagar. He has bought few number of shares at a price of 1,575. He wants to hold it for medium term. And Kunal, what should he do with Titagar Rail?
See, I think the stock could drift more. As I mentioned for the other railway stocks, I think it's possible that even Titagar can probably go into a further mean reversion phase. So I'm expecting the stock to come back towards at least 1150 to 1200 zone before it tries to find some bit of stability. So I think it's a call which you have to take, whether you want to sell now and then rebuy the stock at lower levels, or else if you're a long-term investor, then I think buying the stock at closer to this 1150, 1175 mark could actually be a good point where you may look to average further.
All right, we'll just try and reconnect with Sharmila once again. Till then, Kunal, this one is coming from Arhan. He's writing to us for the first time, I believe. He wants to know about Ireda, 500 shares at a price of 237 rupees per share. Should he continue to stay put with Ireda or look to exit this one?
So again, a stock which has done exceptionally well. Now the concern with Ireda is that the stock has come back into a deep overbought territory, or had come back into a deep overbought territory when it had touched levels of 285, 300 approximately. Now this is a mean reversion phase. What we are seeing right now is a drift, or a zone of consolidation for the stock price. If it breaks below a critical support, which is the 50-day moving average, which currently is at 225 mark, then I would probably believe that the selling intensity could accelerate for Ireda. So I would suggest that just wait out for this phase of consolidation. But 225 could be a litmus testing zone for Ireda. If the stock breaks below this level, then I believe that there could be a possibility that it may correct to even 175 to 180 levels also.
Well, the next query is from Alok Mangla, and it's on two stocks. He has around 10,000 shares of SpiceJet, bought at a price of 61 rupees. 10,000 shares of Biocon, bought at a price of 310. Currently on SpiceJet, not making any profit, and on Biocon, he's making some profit. He wants to know what should he do with both these stocks. Kunal, what would be your suggestion here?
So Biocon I'm very bullish on from long-term play, and I'm assuming that long-term is your time frame. But SpiceJet is something which the stock has been just about getting into a consolidation. I think if I'm not wrong, it's trading very close towards its 200 and the 50-day moving averages. Both the averages have plateaued out. That means that the stock in the near to medium term could get into a further drag or consolidation. So I would probably believe that SpiceJet may not be one of the best stocks. If you want, possibly, then I think moving on from SpiceJet towards Interglobe Aviation, and especially in this last 1 week of correction, could be a good opportunity. But Biocon is something which I'd recommend to hold on.
All right, that's a Biocon for you. This one is coming in from Prem Kumar. We also have Sharmila back with us then. And Sharmila, I'll take this to you then. Prem Kumar from Jaipur wants to know about ACC. He's bought 100 shares of ACC at a price of around 2,700 rupees per share. Should he stay put with this one or look to exit or add some more in his portfolio?
See, I think, overall, your portfolio requires to have one cement play because that is closely linked with your economy. And if we are in an economy that's growing, so it makes perfect sense to have exposure to a couple of cement plays. So ACC is a good name. Maybe you could add another mid-cap name as well. But overall, I think yes, it should find a place in your book.
Well, the next query is from D. Mazumdar. He's from Odisha and he has around 1,000 shares of Andhra Sugar, bought a price of 178. He's been holding this stock for more than 2 years. Sharmila, he wants to know whether should he book 50% losses and invest the balance amount in Balrampur Chini. What would be your view here?
Overall, I'm not very positive on sugar as a play. I think these are seasonal stocks. I think the reason I'm not positive is that these are this is a sector that is closely linked with your inflation. So you don't really allow prices to increase. Out of because we are so dependent as a nation on sugar for our festivals, etc. It is a sort of a controlled commodity. That's the only reason. So I think it might make sense to sort of book some losses and shift to some other thing.
One is coming from Sunny. He's writing to us from Goa. He wants to know about India Bull's real estate. 2 to 3 years is the time horizon. At what price can he look to average? I believe then he already has this one in his portfolio.
Yeah, the name has changed, I think, for the stock to Equinox. Interesting chart because on the longer term basis, remember, I think there was a point when 160, 155 was a major resistance for India Bull's real estate. The stock has now drifted down back again to 120, 125. The last I did not track the stock. But I think at current levels of 120, 125, it could be an attractive proposition to look to invest into this name if you're a long-term investor. The only catch with this stock is the high beta nature, because there could be a possibility that the stocks may show gyrations of more than 10% to 20% in a very quick span of time. So that's the only concern with a stock like Equinox and India Bull's real estate, and that's why you may not be able to allocate a higher capital over here. So maybe a moderate kind of a position size, but at current levels could be a better strategy from long-term play.
The next query is from Ajit from Bangalore. He wants to buy Newland Lab at current prices for 1 year. Any targets for this, Kunal, Newland Lab?
So again, a fantastic chart. The stock has been making new highs even at this point when the markets are going through a lot of choppiness as well as volatility. Now we may expect that this trend may continue for Newland Labs for some more time. The recent breakout for the stock is around 1,000 to 1,500 points from 9,000, 9,500 as a breakout point, which means we could be looking out for another 1,500 points as a potential target for the stock. So closer to 13,000 approximately could be a decent target over the near term.
All right. This next query that I have is coming from Manish Singhania, writing to us from West Bengal. This one is for you, Sharmila. He wants to know about LIC Housing Finance. 1,000 shares at a price of 790 rupees per share. He wants to know what should he do with his holding in LIC Housing, and he's requested your view in particular. So fundamentally, what's it take?
Well, I just want to say that Kunal is rather in a pink jacket today. So I think he may receive some compliments for that as well. Coming to LIC Housing Finance, this is overall housing, real estate as a sector is a sector that I like. So anything that is linked with that, which could be a proxy play for real estate is a good investment in my mind. And LIC Housing also caters to a certain kind of housing market, which I think is going to do well in going forward. So if you're a long-term investor, for me, this is a definite.
Sharmila, you're not the only one who's actually complimenting Kunal on his jacket. In fact, the moment he walked into the studio, I also complimented him on the jacket. So there you go. This all smile. It's Friday mood. There you go. And also it's a treat for all of our viewers who keep writing to us saying, can you ask Kunal to smile more? And there you go. A nice pink blush also on his cheek right now. You can see on that pink blazer. So yes, definitely it's Good Friday. Kunal, even you had Somit who was very chirpy. It's a rare sight of Somit as well to see him that chirpy on a Friday. But one stock that is definitely now ruling, and I think everyone is happy, is with Ola Electric's listing, because that particular stock did see a muted listing, and from there on now 20% up move coming in for Ola Electrics. And EVs will eventually become cheaper than ICE vehicles, and as the supply chain matures, that's the word is coming in from Ola Electric's CMD Bhavesh Agarwal. after listing the shares on the bourses. He's also said that the EV is the future of the country. So let's hear out the slice of that conversation.
Nikunj, the EV journey in India is in absolute infancy. 3 साल पहले जब हमने शुरुआत की थी, when we started building our first product, EV penetration in two-wheelers in India was, I think, 1 or 2%. Today, just in scooters, EV penetration is 15+%. So, and we're still scratching the surface. About a couple of months back, we launched our sub 1 lakh rupee scooter, and that has done really well. We've seen sales across the country in small towns, in rural areas, in upmarket centers. So we feel there is a lot of potential for electrification of all automotive in India. Scooters to start with. We have been clear that we are going to build bikes, and I'm smiling, as you can see. I'm very excited to share soon enough with people what kind of bikes we have lined up. That 2/3 of the Indian two-wheeler market is motorbikes, so we are very excited to share our products in that space very soon with everybody. And the electrification journey is only going to increase. This story only ends one way, with 100% electrification of automotive. Because if you see, ICE vehicles are inflationary. The vehicle cost keeps going up because of regulatory emissions compliances, and the fuel cost keeps going up. Whereas EVs are different. EV, the vehicle cost keeps coming down every generation because the battery keeps reducing in cost. And our Prime Minister has this vision, very inspiring vision, of making power free for everybody with rooftop solar. So imagine in the future your EV at your home being charged free from your rooftop solar, so the running cost is zero. That's the future, Nikunj. I think there's no debate about that. The story ends only one way.
I have numbers where if one is using a EV four-wheeler and if a EV ICE four-wheeler or a passenger car, the cost saving is significant in terms of an electric vehicle. For two-wheelers and for motorcycle, what are the numbers like? If somebody is using the traditional ICE engine, that Purana ad of Hero Honda, 1 liter 80 kilometers versus EV, where are the comparisons?
If I understand your question, Nikunj, correctly, about the price that the consumer has to pay. For two-wheelers, the ICE price for the same category of vehicle and the EV for the same category of vehicle is actually now the same. If you see, our S1X scooters are priced at or below the median ICE scooter. And in bikes also it's going to be the same because the supply chain is all the same. In four-wheelers today in India, there is a delta. But as we are working on the supply chain, especially the lithium cell, which we've built our gigafactory, we've commenced trial production, commercial production starts early next year. Once that comes in, the cell and the entire supply chain is going to be used across all products. So hopefully across different product categories, the price of EVs will come at or below ICE prices in the near future.
Welcome back. You're watching bnsn on ET Now. Let's continue taking your queries then. And this one is coming in for... actually, this is just a comment coming in from one of our viewers, Sabyasachi, for you, Kunal. He's saying, apart from you wearing the pink blazer, he's saying you also help our viewers keep the financial health in pink. So he's written that in all bold, in all caps and all this. So you should be happy with the attention you're getting. All thanks to Sharmila actually going on national television to say that. But let me take the query, which is stock related then. And this one is coming from Swati. She has Lemon Tree Hotels in a portfolio, 400 shares. She's at a 20% loss right now, Kunal. What should she do with this one?
See, that's the concern with the mid-cap arena right now, because we are getting it at a point where there could be a sudden reversal for stocks. Now, the good part about the chart is that over the last 2 days, we've seen a very heightened volume action for Lemon Tree. Now, this brings in a very high probability case that the stock is nearing a bottom for itself, which means that major selling for the stock is out. Potentially over the next 3 days, I strongly believe that there should be a bottom at place for Lemon Tree. So maybe you can wait for another 5% odd as a correction. Looking at the recent intensity of correction, 115 broadly could be a point where you may look to start looking to go for a contra buy if you're looking to buy the stock at current levels, or if you're looking to add from your existing holdings.
Well, the next query is from James Joseph from Cochin. He's holding 5,000 shares of Union Bank, bought at a price of 134. He wants to know, Kunal, whether should he continue to hold this counter or exit?
I think you may hold on to the stock if you're a long-term investor, but if you're a short-term investor, then I think the stock seems to be entering into a downward drag. Now, very recently, just last week, if I'm not wrong, the stock has managed to break below its 200-day moving average. That level was close to 134.35 for Union Bank. So, till the time the stock doesn't come back about the 130, 135 mark, it could be a bit tricky from a short-term play. So, depends on your time frame. If you're a short-term investor, then exit. But if you're a long-term investor, then stay put.
All right, coming to you, Sharmila. This one is coming from Nitya, who's writing to us from Chennai. Wants to know whether it's good time to enter RVNL now for the longer term. What's the take coming in on RVNL in particular?
So overall, I think that it might make sense to wait a little, largely because I think that these stocks have had a huge run-up and valuations are very high. And honestly, there has been nothing really substantial in the railway budget for these stocks. So I think it makes sense to wait it out a little, and in this correction, if you get it at slightly lower prices, then look to enter.
Next query is from Imran Alam from Kolkata, and he wants to know the short-term view on these two counters, Kunal, Borosil Renewables and Dalmia Bharat.
See, Borosil Renewables is a very interesting chart. I've been studying this stock over the last few months, specifically because the stock has already gone to a multi-year consolidation. I think the high the stock had hit was around 800 mark, if I'm not wrong, or thereabouts, in 2022-21 end. And from there, the stock has gone through a 2-year, 3-year consolidation. So right now, the stock formed a base, which is around the 400 levels, still at the lower end of this, price-wise consolidation. So which means that the price looks fairly attractive. So out of the two names, I would actually believe Borosil Renewables could be a very interesting play at current levels of 500. And in case if there's any further dip closer to that 400 mark, that should be a point where you should look to average.
All right, and with that, let's kickstart taking all of your queries in the rapid fire then. The first one is coming from Venkatesh, is writing to us from Indonesia. For you, Sharmila, Som Distilleries is the counter, 1,000 shares at a price of 108, hold or average or exit for a period of 2 years.
Next query from
Definitely hold, and
All right, hold is the call coming in, Sharmila?
yes.
The next query is from Sushila Baleri, and it's on Zomato. She wants to know the short-term target for Zomato, Kunal.
285 could be a short-term target for the stock.
All right, Rahul wants to know about Bank of Baroda, 1,000 shares at a price of 275 rupees per share for the next 3 to 6 months. Should he continue to hold, Kunal?
Continue to hold on. 260 could be a target in that time frame.
Next query is from Ashish Ghosh from Kolkata. He wants to know whether it's a good time to buy Nilkamal Industries. What would be your view, Sharmila?
I'm sorry, the stock name?
Nilkamal. Kamal.
All right, that's the take coming in on Neil Kamal, should be a hold. Neha wants to know about PCBL and Apple making 50 to 60% profit in both of the counters. Kunal, any sort of targets you have for both of them? What's the strategy for her?
This is a very strong indication that the stock is restarting a long-term uptrend. I would suggest to hold if you're a long-term investor.
Next query is from Vivek. It's for you, Kunal. LT Foods bought at a price of 210. What is the target price for the next 3 months?
Would suggest a buy, and potentially target range could be kept at closer to 335.
All right, Tushar wants to know about Escorts. 4,100 is the buy price, 600 shares. Sharmila, what's your take coming in on Escorts? A hold for the longer term?
It's a hold.
Any trading idea, Kunal, on Newland Lab and Orchid Pharma? The query is from Mohit Bharadwaj from Ghaziabad.
Newland Lab could be a better bet, as I just flagged off earlier. Potentially another 1,500 points on the upside.
All right, this one is coming in from Shalini from Chennai. Wants to know about Biocon, about 100 shares at a price of 365 rupees per share. Kunal, what to do with this one in loss?
Continue to hold on. You can look to average in case closer to 320 mark.
All right, with that we come to the end of the rapid fire as well as queries. Thank you so much for joining us, Kunal as well as Sharmila. We managed to take almost 30 queries, including rapid fire. Not a bad number, but with that we are totally out of time on this edition of Buy Now Sell Now. Goodbye from Somit, myself, teamed up with the show together. Thank you for watching.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.